Spirit Walker Chapter 14, Part 1. Wolf, Renn said again. The wolf's tail was down, but faintly wagging. His ears rammed forwards. He was watching her intently, but not meeting her eyes, and he was shivering, although whether from cold, fear, or eagerness, she couldn't tell. She leapt to her feet. "Wolf, it's me, Renn! Oh, Wolf, it is you, isn't it?" At her outburst, the wolf backed away, giving short little grunt whines that sounded aggrieved. She couldn't remember how Torak had said hello in wolf talk, so she got down on her hands and knees, grinning and trying to catch the wolf's eye. That didn't seem right either. The wolf turned his head and backed even further away. But was it really Wolf? When she'd known him, he'd been a cub, but he'd grown so much. From nose to tail, he was almost longer than she was. And if they stood side by side, his head would have reached her waist. As a cub, his fur had been a fluffy light grey, with a sprinkling of black across the shoulders. Now it was rich and thick, the grey subtly blended with white, black, silver and foxy red. But he still had that black mantle across the shoulders and those extraordinary amber eyes. Thunder crashed directly overhead. Renn ducked. The wolf yelped and shot to the back of the cave. His ears were flattened and he was trembling violently. Whoever he is, thought Renn, he's not yet full grown, even if he looks it. Inside, he's still part cub. Out loud, she said gently, "It's all right, you're safe here." The wolf's ears flicked forward to listen. "Wolf, it is you, isn't it?" He put his head on one side. She had an idea. From her food pouch, she took a handful of dried lingonberries into her palm. As a cub, Wolf had adored lingonberries. The wolf drew close to her outstretched hand, and his black nose twitched. Then he delicately snuffled up the berries. "Oh, Wolf!" cried Renn. "It is you!" He darted back into the shadows. She'd startled him. She shook more lingonberries into her palm, and after some cajoling, he came forward and snuffled them up. Then he tried to nibble her finger guards. To distract him, she put a salmon cake on the ground. Wolf patted it with one forepaw in a gesture she remembered, then gulped it down without even chewing. 4 more went the same way, and now Renn was sure. The wolf she'd known had loved salmon cakes. On hands and knees, she crawled towards him. "It's me," she said, reaching out and stroking the pale fur on his throat. Wolf leapt up and raced to the mouth of the cave, where he ran in circles, whining. She'd done something wrong. Again. In dismay, she retreated to the fire and sat down. "Wolf, why are you here?" she said, although she knew we wouldn't understand. "Are you trying to find Torak too?" Wolf licked crumbs of salmon off his chops, then trotted to the back of the cave and lay down with his muzzle between his paws. Outside, the thunder faded into the north as the world spirit strode back to its mountain. The cave filled with the gurgle of rain and the pungent smell of wet wolf. Renn longed to tell Wolf how glad she was to see him, to ask if he'd found Torak, but she didn't know how. She'd never paid much attention when Torak spoke Wolf, because she'd found it disturbing. It had made her feel as if she didn't really know him. Now she searched her memory. "Wolves," Torak said once, "don't talk with their voices as much as we do, but more with their paws and tails, and ears and fur, and, with their whole bodies." "But you haven't got a tail," Renn had pointed out, "or fur, and you can't move your ears, so how do you do it?" "I leave bits out. It's not easy, but we get by." If it was hard for Torak, how was she going to manage? How was Wolf going to help her find Torak if they couldn't even talk to each other? And we'll have to do the next part in part 2.